The rain poured mercilessly over the quiet suburban streets as James Miller trudged home from another exhausting day at his software development job. Streetlights reflected off the wet pavement, creating small pools of light that guided his way through the darkness. His shoulders slumped under the weight of his laptop bag, and his mind wandered to the leftover pizza waiting in his fridge. At 32, James lived alone in a modest two-story house he'd inherited from his grandparents. The familiar sight of his dark blue front door usually brought comfort, but tonight something was different. Through the curtain of rain, he spotted a figure standing on his porch. As he drew closer, his heart began to race. Under the dim porch light stood a woman unlike any he'd ever seen. She was tall and slender, wearing what appeared to be a form-fitting silver suit that seemed to shimmer with its own inner light. But it was her features that made him stop in his tracks. Her skin had a subtle, iridescent quality, like mother-of-pearl catching the light. And her eyes. James blinked hard, convinced he was seeing things. Her eyes were a deep violet, with small flecks of light that seemed to dance like stars in a twilight sky. "Please," she said, her voice carrying an odd musical quality. "I need help." James gripped his house keys tightly, suddenly very aware of how strange this situation was. "Who are you?" "I am." She hesitated, as if choosing her words carefully. "You can call me Luna. I have nowhere else to go, and I will offer anything in return for shelter." A flash of lightning illuminated the sky, and James noticed something extraordinary. Where the rain hit her skin, it seemed to ripple in impossible ways, like water hitting an invisible force field. Her hair, a pale silver white, didn't appear wet despite the downpour. "You're not human," he found himself saying, the words escaping before he could stop them. Luna's violet eyes widened slightly. "No," she admitted. "I am not. But I mean you no harm. I am running from something. Someone. Please, I just need a place to stay until I can figure out what to do next." James knew he should call the police or run, or do anything except what he was about to do. But something in those strange violet eyes spoke of genuine fear and desperation. Plus, if she wanted to harm him, she could have done so already instead of asking politely to come in. "You're shivering," he noted, seeing the slight tremors running through her frame. The rain was becoming heavier, and despite her otherworldly appearance, she looked miserable standing there in the cold. Making what was either the wisest or most foolish decision of his life, James stepped forward and unlocked his door. "Come in," he said, "but I want answers." Luna's relief was palpable as she stepped inside. The interior lights revealed more details about her appearance. Her silver suit wasn't clothing at all, but seemed to be part of her skin, like a second layer that shifted and moved with her movements. "Thank you," she said, standing awkwardly in his entryway. "I know this must seem strange to you. I will explain everything. I promise." James set down his laptop bag and ran a hand through his wet hair. "Would you like some tea?" he offered, falling back on basic hospitality despite the bizarre situation. "Or, do you even drink tea?" A small smile touched Luna's lips, making the subtle luminescence of her skin brighten slightly. "Tea would be wonderful. We have similar beverages where I come from, though they're quite different in composition." As James moved to the kitchen, his mind raced with questions. He had an alien in his house, an actual alien who looked remarkably humanoid, but was clearly not from Earth. She was running from something, had technology he couldn't comprehend, and had chosen his doorstep of all places to ask for help. As he waited for the kettle to boil, he heard a soft gasp from the living room. When he looked out, he saw Luna staring in fascination at his old cat, Max, who had emerged from his hiding spot and was rubbing against her legs, purring loudly. This, James thought, was going to be an interesting night. James sat across from Luna in his small living room, watching as she cradled the steaming cup of tea in her hands. Max, his orange tabby, had made himself comfortable in her lap, purring contentedly, as if this was the most normal situation in the world. "Your world is so vibrant," Luna said, looking around the room with obvious fascination. Her violet eyes lingered on the family photos on the wall, the worn furniture, and the slightly outdated TV in the corner. We lost this kind of personality in our pursuit of perfection. Where exactly are you from? James asked, trying to keep his voice steady despite his growing curiosity. Luna set down her tea and raised her hand. A small holographic display appeared above her palm, showing a star system James didn't recognize. My home is here, she said, pointing to a planet that glowed with a soft blue light, about what you would call 300 light-years from Earth. James leaned forward, mesmerized by the detailed projection. That's incredible technology. How does it? Before he could finish his question, the TV behind him suddenly sparked to life, its screen flickering with static. Luna glanced at it, her skin rippling with what seemed like concern. She raised her hand again, and the static cleared instantly, revealing a perfect picture, better than when the TV was new. Your electronics are primitive, but charming, she said. I can interface with them easily. Would you like me to improve them? James nodded, still stunned by what he'd just witnessed. Luna stood, causing Max to jump down with an annoyed meow, and approached the TV. She placed her hand on its surface, and James watched in amazement as the old flat screen seemed to rejuvenate before his eyes. The scratches disappeared, the color became more vibrant, and even the cracked corner repaired itself. That's not just advanced technology, James said slowly. That's like magic. Luna laughed, a sound like crystal wind chimes. No, it's science. My people have learned to manipulate matter at its most fundamental level. We can restructure atoms, repair damage, enhance functionality. Her expression darkened slightly. It's also why I had to flee. She returned to her seat, her movements graceful but heavy with worry. I am what my people call a technomancer, someone who can interface directly with technology and matter. It's a rare ability, and it made me valuable. Too valuable. James listened intently as Luna explained how her society's ruling class had arranged her marriage to a powerful warlord who controlled vast technological resources. He doesn't want me for love, she said bitterly. He wants to use my abilities to enhance his weapons, to build better tools of destruction. To demonstrate her point, Luna reached out and touched James's smartphone on the coffee table. Instantly, the device transformed, its screen becoming crystal clear, its case morphing into something that looked like liquid metal. Try it, she encouraged. James picked up his phone, finding it responded to his thoughts more than his touch. Apps opened before he could tap them, and the internet speed was impossibly fast. This is amazing, he breathed. It's nothing, Luna said quietly, compared to what they wanted me to do. Your species is considered primitive by my people, but you have something we've lost. Choice. Freedom. The ability to say no to those in power. A sudden deep rumble shook the house slightly, causing Max to dart under the couch. Luna's skin rippled with fear as she looked up at the ceiling. They're already here, she whispered. In orbit. Looking for me. Who's here? James asked, though he already knew the answer. The warlord scouts. They'll be scanning for my energy signature. Luna's voice trembled slightly. But they don't understand human technology well enough to track me easily. That's why I chose Earth. Why I chose your house. Something about human brain patterns interferes with their scanning technology. James looked at his transformed phone, then at the alien woman who had literally appeared on his doorstep. His ordinary life had become extraordinary in the span of a few hours, and somehow he knew it was about to become even more complicated. Then we'll figure out how to keep you hidden, he said with determination, surprising himself with his own conviction. Together. In the days following Luna's arrival, James found himself living in two worlds. By day, he went to his software development job, trying to act normal while knowing an alien refugee was hiding in his home. By night, he helped Luna monitor the skies for signs of her pursuers while learning more about her advanced technology. One evening, as James returned home, he found Luna standing in his converted garage, which she had transformed into something resembling a high-tech command center. Holographic displays floated in the air, showing various orbital patterns and strange symbols he couldn't understand. "They're getting closer," Luna said without turning around. Her iridescent skin seemed dimmer than usual, a sign of stress James had learned to recognize. "Look at this." She waved her hand, and one of the displays expanded to show what looked like traditional satellite imagery, except these weren't any satellites James recognized. The objects were sleek, almost predatory in design, with curved surfaces that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "Scout ships," Luna explained. "They're using Earth's existing satellite network as cover while they search for me. Your planet's space agencies haven't noticed them yet because they're using cloaking technology that makes them appear as space debris." James moved closer to examine the display. "How many are there?" "7 so far. Small ships, but each one carries enough firepower to level a small city." Luna's violet eyes flickered with worry. "They're being cautious because they don't want to draw attention from Earth's governments, but they're getting bolder." As if to prove her point, one of the displays suddenly flashed red. Luna's hands moved quickly through the air, manipulating the holographic controls. "They're scanning this region now. They're using a new frequency I haven't seen before." James watched as a wave of energy swept across the map of his city. When it reached their location, however, something strange happened. The scans seemed to distort and skip over their area, like water flowing around a rock. "That's interesting," Luna said, her tone shifting from worried to curious. "James, come here for a moment." She pulled up another display, this one showing what looked like brain wave patterns. "This is your neural signature," she explained. "And this," she brought up another pattern, "is a typical pattern from my species. Notice anything?" James studied the patterns, where Luna's species showed clean, orderly waves. Human patterns seemed chaotic, full of random spikes and variations. "Our technology is based on order and precision," Luna continued. "We can't properly scan or track anything that doesn't follow logical patterns. And human brains," she smiled slightly, "they're beautifully chaotic. Your thoughts, emotions, and neural patterns create a kind of natural interference." A loud beeping interrupted them. Another scout ship had entered orbit, this one larger than the others. "No," Luna whispered, her skin rippling with fear. "That's his personal vessel. The warlord himself has come." James felt his heart rate increase but forced himself to stay calm. "Can he track us?" "Not easily, but he has resources the scouts don't. He'll start with traditional surveillance first: cameras, communication monitoring, energy usage patterns." Luna began rapidly adjusting their defenses. "We need to be more careful now. One mistake, one pattern they can latch onto and they'll find us." Outside, a military helicopter flew overhead, unusually low for their residential area. Luna tensed until it passed. "They're already coordinating with Earth's military, probably feeding them false information about potential threats," she said. "The warlord is clever. He'll use your own security forces to help search for me without revealing his true presence." James watched as more data streamed across the holographic displays, showing increased military and police activity across the city. Their safe bubble was shrinking, and soon they would need to make some difficult decisions. "Then we'll have to be clever," James said firmly. "You said human chaos confuses their systems. Maybe that's not just our weakness. Maybe it's our strength." Luna looked at him curiously, her violet eyes brightening slightly. "What are you suggesting?" "I think," James said, a plan forming in his mind, "it's time we stopped hiding and started fighting back. And I know exactly where to start." The warlord's ship loomed in the holographic display above them, a constant reminder of the danger they faced. But for the first time since Luna arrived, James felt like they might actually have a chance. The morning sunlight filtered through James's kitchen window as he watched Luna interact with his laptop. Her fingers danced above the keyboard without touching it, lines of code appearing faster than humanly possible. She had been helping him with a particularly challenging project for his company, transforming his basic programming into something extraordinary. "There," Luna said, stepping back from the laptop. "I've integrated some basic quantum computing principles into your code. It should run about 1,000 times faster now, though I had to limit it to avoid suspicion." James stared at the screen, amazed by how she had transformed his week's worth of work into something revolutionary in just minutes. "This is incredible, but won't someone notice this isn't normal human technology?" Luna's skin shimmed with amusement. "I've made it appear as if you're simply using very efficient algorithms. Your species is on the verge of these discoveries anyway. I just helped you skip a few steps." Later that day during his project presentation, James's colleagues were stunned by his breakthrough. His boss immediately promoted him to lead developer, giving him more flexible hours, and more importantly, access to the company's advanced computing resources. But as they celebrated that evening, Luna made an unexpected discovery. "James, look at this," she called from the garage command center. She had been monitoring the warlord's search patterns when something caught her attention. "Watch what happens when you approach the scanning equipment." James walked toward one of her alien devices. The readings on the holographic display became distorted, showing random patterns and false readings. "It's not just your brain patterns," Luna explained excitedly. "Your entire biological makeup seems to generate a field that our technology can't properly process. It's like trying to photograph smoke. The more you try to focus on it, the more it shifts and changes." She pulled up more displays, showing various data streams. "Your species evolved differently than mine. Where we pursued technological perfection and logical advancement, you developed incredible adaptability. Your bodies are constantly changing, adjusting, evolving on a microscopic level. Even your thoughts refuse to follow predictable patterns." James watched as she demonstrated, showing how human presence created gaps in the alien surveillance network. "So we're basically invisible to them." "Not invisible," Luna corrected, "but incredibly difficult to track. They can see something is there, but they can't get a clear reading. It's why the warlord hasn't found us yet, despite all his resources." A thought struck James. "Could we use this somehow? Expand it?" Luna's violet eyes lit up. "Actually, yes. Your human unpredictability combined with my technical knowledge." She began rapidly accessing different holographic screens. "We could create a defense system that amplifies human chaos patterns, not just hiding from their scans, but actively disrupting them." They worked through the night, Luna teaching James the basics of her technology, while he helped her understand human unpredictability. Together, they began developing a hybrid system that merged human chaos with alien tech. By morning, they had created something entirely new. Luna had modified James's home computer network to generate what she called a chaos field, a bubble of unpredictable energy that made it impossible for alien sensors to get any clear readings of the area. "It's beautiful," Luna whispered, watching the field's random patterns dance across her displays. "My people always saw human chaos as a weakness, something to be corrected. We were so wrong. Your chaos, your wonderful unpredictability, it's actually your greatest strength." James watched as another scout ship passed overhead, its sensors completely confused by their chaos field. "Will this be enough to stop them?" Luna's expression grew serious. "No, it's just the beginning. The warlord won't give up easily. But we've proven something important. Human nature isn't primitive, it's simply different. And sometimes different is exactly what you need to change the rules of the game." Outside, the city was waking up, unaware of the invisible battle being fought in their skies. But in James's garage, human and alien worked together, combining their strengths to create something neither civilization had achieved alone. A perfect blend of chaos and order. The ultimatum arrived on a quiet Sunday morning. James and Luna were working on expanding their chaos field when every electronic device in the house suddenly activated. The warlord's face appeared on every screen, a being similar to Luna, but with harder features and eyes that gleamed like cold metal. Beloved, his voice carried artificial sweetness, making Luna's skin ripple with disgust. You've led me on quite an entertaining chase, but now it ends. James stood protectively near Luna as the warlord continued. You have 6 Earth hours to surrender yourself. If you refuse, the screen switched to show a bird's eye view of their city. I will demonstrate why protecting primitive creatures is beneath you. The transmission ended, leaving them in tense silence. He's desperate, Luna said, her voice steady despite her fear. He wouldn't risk such an obvious threat unless he was running out of options. Our chaos field is working better than we thought. James paced the room, thinking rapidly. We've been playing defense this whole time. Maybe it's time to switch strategies. Luna turned to her holographic displays, scanning through data streams. The warlord's ships use a crystalline computing matrix. It's incredibly powerful, but her eyes widened with realization. But it requires absolute precision. Even tiny errors cascade through the entire system. And what creates errors better than chaos? James grinned, an idea forming. They spent the next hour modifying their chaos field generator. Luna's knowledge of alien technology combined with James's understanding of random human behavior patterns created something entirely new, a weapon that didn't destroy, but confused. It's ready, Luna announced, looking at their creation, a small device that pulsed with unpredictable energy patterns. But we'll need to get close to his ship to use it. The range is limited. James checked his watch. 4 hours remaining. I have an idea, but it's crazy. Those are my favorite kind now. Luna smiled, her skin glowing brighter. They drove to James's software company, now empty on Sunday. Using his new security clearance, they accessed the building's satellite communication array on the roof. Luna quickly modified it with her abilities while James kept watch. 3 hours left. There, Luna said, connecting their chaos device to the modified array. When we activate this, it will amplify human brainwave patterns across the entire city. Every person's natural chaos will become a weapon. 2 hours left. They noticed increased military activity. The warlord was positioning his forces. Police began evacuating certain areas, working on his false intelligence. 1 hour left. It's time, Luna said softly. She reached for the activation switch but hesitated. James, if this doesn't work. He took her hand. It will work. You know why? Because it's not just technology we're using. It's humanity's greatest gift, our unpredictability. Luna nodded and threw the switch. The effect was immediate and spectacular. Every human mind in the city became a broadcaster of chaos patterns. The warlord's ships, visible now as their cloaking systems failed, began to shake and drift erratically. The warlord's face appeared again on their screens, but now distorted and breaking up. What is this? What have you done? Taught you a lesson about underestimating primitive species, Luna replied calmly. Your ships are locked in an infinite loop of error corrections. The more they try to compensate, the worse it gets. They watched as the alien vessels began retreating, their perfect systems overwhelmed by the beautiful chaos of human consciousness. The warlord's final transmission was bitter. This isn't over. Yes, it is, Luna countered. Unless you want every world to know how human chaos defeated your perfect technology. The ships disappeared, leaving Earth's sky clear once again. On the roof, James and Luna watched the sunrise, their hands still clasped together. You know, James said thoughtfully, for a supposedly advanced species, they never learned the most important lesson. What's that? Luna asked, her violet eyes curious. Sometimes the most perfect system is one that embraces imperfection. Luna's skin glowed with joy as she realized that she had found not just a hiding place, but a home among the wonderfully chaotic humans. In the aftermath of their victory against the warlord, James and Luna knew they couldn't keep the truth hidden forever. Military satellites had captured enough unusual data during the incident to raise serious questions. It was time to be proactive. "We need to tell them," Luna said one evening, as they watched news reports speculating about the strange electromagnetic disturbances that had affected the city. "But carefully, selectively. People who will understand and help." James nodded, already making a list. His company's head of research, Dr. Wilson, had always been open-minded about theoretical technology, and he had connections to government research departments. The meeting was arranged in a secure conference room at James's workplace after hours. Dr. Wilson sat quietly as Luna demonstrated her abilities, his scientific skepticism giving way to wonder as she transformed simple office equipment into advanced technological marvels. "This is extraordinary," he said finally. "But why reveal this now?" "Because there will be others," Luna explained. "My people have always viewed Earth as a primitive backwater, not worth serious attention. But now that we've proven humans can defeat their technology," she let the implications hang in the air. Dr. Wilson made some calls. Within days, they were meeting with a small group of military scientists and government officials in a secret facility. Luna demonstrated everything again, but this time focused on explaining how human consciousness itself had been the key to their defense. "Your chaotic thought patterns, your emotional responses, your ability to make completely illogical decisions, these are your greatest weapons," Luna explained to the astonished officials. "My people's technology can't handle true randomness. It's too perfect, too ordered." James stepped forward with their chaos field generator. "We can teach you how to build these. They amplify human brain patterns, turning our natural chaos into a shield." The military officials were skeptical at first, but practical demonstrations proved convincing. When Luna showed them recorded footage of the warlord's ships failing, their attitude shifted from doubt to keen interest. "We need to prepare," one general said. "If more of your people come." "They will," Luna confirmed, "but now you'll be ready. Not with bigger weapons or stronger shields, but with something they can't comprehend: human unpredictability." Over the next few weeks, they worked with the selected officials to develop a global defense strategy. Luna taught them how to detect alien technology, while James helped create systems that could harness and amplify human chaos patterns. But their most powerful demonstration came unexpectedly during a test of their new defense system. One of the scientists, frustrated with a failed attempt, kicked his chair in anger. The resulting spike of emotional chaos created such a powerful disruption that it temporarily disabled every piece of alien-derived technology in the facility. "That's it," Luna exclaimed excitedly. "Pure, unfiltered human emotion. It's like static to our systems. We never understood because we engineered such responses out of our species centuries ago." The implications were enormous. Humanity's perceived weaknesses, their emotions, their illogical decisions, their chaotic nature, were actually their strongest defense against advanced alien technology. James watched as the military officials began planning a network of chaos field generators around major cities. But he also saw them starting to understand a deeper truth. The best defense wasn't just technology, but the preservation of human nature itself. "We don't need to become like them to defend against them," he explained to the assembled leaders. "We need to embrace what makes us different: our chaos, our emotions, our humanity. These aren't flaws to be corrected. They're advantages to be embraced." Luna's skin glowed with pride as she watched James speak. The humans were learning quickly, adapting the knowledge she shared while maintaining their unique characteristics. They weren't trying to copy her people's technology. They were creating something new, a perfect fusion of advanced science and human unpredictability. As the sun set on another day of preparation, James and Luna stood watching the city lights come on. Somewhere up there, they knew, other alien ships might be watching. But now, for the first time, Earth would be ready. Not because they had better weapons, but because they had finally recognized their greatest strength, their wonderful, powerful, beautiful chaos. 6 months after the warlords' retreat, Earth had changed in subtle but significant ways. Chaos field generators protected major cities, disguised as cellular towers. Humanity continued its normal routines, but now with the quiet confidence of a species that knew its true strength. James walked into his living room, where Luna was monitoring the global defense network they'd helped create. Her skin glowed brighter as he entered. A response he'd learned meant she was happy. "They're coming," she said, but her voice held no fear. "The full diplomatic fleet this time, not warships." The holographic display showed 12 ships approaching Earth's orbit. Unlike the warlords' predatory vessels, these were elegant, clearly designed to be seen and admired. "Your people finally decided to talk?" James asked, setting down 2 cups of tea. They had no choice. The warlords' defeat proved that their traditional approach to primitive species was flawed. Plus, she smiled, her violet eyes twinkling. They're terrified of trying to invade a planet full of chaos generators. The diplomatic meeting was arranged in a neutral location, an old airport cleared specifically for this purpose. James and Luna stood with Earth's representatives as the alien ships landed, their crystalline surfaces refracting sunlight in beautiful patterns. The alien diplomats emerged, looking similar to Luna, but with varied skin tones that shifted like oil on water. Their leader, a tall figure named Architect, approached with careful steps, clearly uncomfortable with Earth's chaotic energy. "We come seeking understanding," Architect announced, his voice carrying that same musical quality as Luna's. "Our society has operated on principles of perfect order for 10,000 years. Yet you defeated our best technology with disorder." "Not disorder," James corrected. "Complexity. Life isn't meant to be perfect. It's meant to be adaptable." To demonstrate, Luna activated a small chaos field generator. The alien diplomats watched in fascination as their personal devices struggled to function, while human technology worked perfectly. "Your chaos patterns," Architect observed, "they're not random at all, are they? They follow their own kind of order, one we simply couldn't comprehend." "Because you tried to eliminate chaos from your civilization," Luna explained to her people. "But chaos isn't just destruction. It's creativity, emotion, growth. It's life itself." The negotiations that followed were unlike any in human history. Earth didn't need to demand respect. They had earned it. The aliens offered advanced technology, but humanity wisely chose to develop at their own pace, accepting only knowledge that wouldn't disrupt their natural development. A new era of cooperation began. The aliens learned to appreciate human unpredictability, while humans learned that advanced technology didn't require sacrificing their nature. Research teams discovered that human chaos patterns could actually enhance certain types of alien technology, creating hybrid systems more powerful than either civilization had achieved alone. The warlord never returned. The story of his defeat by primitive humans spread throughout the alien civilization, becoming a cautionary tale about underestimating different forms of intelligence. James and Luna stood in their garage command center one last time, preparing to deactivate it. It would be replaced by a proper monitoring station at the new Earth Alien Cooperation Center. "Did you ever imagine," James asked, "when you showed up on my doorstep that rainy night, that it would end like this?" Luna's skin rippled with laughter. "Never. I was just looking for a place to hide. Instead, I found a whole species that taught my people the value of imperfection." As they shut down the holographic displays, Luna took James's hand. Her skin glowed in sync with his heartbeat, a connection that had grown stronger over their months together. "What's next?" he asked. "More chaos, I hope," she replied with a smile. "After all, that's what makes life interesting." Outside, the sun set on a changed Earth, a planet where humans walked proudly among the stars, not because they had conquered their chaos, but because they had embraced it. In the end, humanity's greatest weakness had proven to be their greatest strength, and the universe was better for it. And it all started with a mysterious alien woman appearing at a doorstep on a rainy night, seeking shelter from a storm.